Hello, I'm Jane from Loopy's Place, and I'm just popping on just to share some thoughts with you this afternoon. So for those that have been following my channel for a while will know that I do lessons not only here in my studio in Sheffield but also in the community in Rotherham. So we've been thinking about the things that we learn from doing our lessons. And one of the things that's come up, and the reason it's brought to mind today is I'm doing some unpicking. I'm doing this for a student. So one of the things that we've been thinking about is how we cope with making mistakes. We all make them. It doesn't matter how long we've been sewing or quilting. We've always got things to learn, and there are some days when nothing just seems to go right. So we're having to deal with problems all the time, making mistakes, and the way that we deal with them can really have an effect on how we feel about what we're doing and what we're making. So this fabric here, it probably wasn't the best one for somebody who was just beginning to sew, who hadn't been sewing for a long time. But when they set their heart on something, sometimes they've got to learn from experience what the results can be. However, some of the seams have got sewn the wrong way, so I'm stepping in and I'm just undoing them for her. While this is here, I'm going to overlap the edges of the pieces, so it makes it a lot easier for her when she comes to sewing again next week. So it reminds me of when I was younger. My mum taught me to knit when I was quite young, and you know how it is, you get the slip stitches and you get holes appearing. My rows used to grow, so I could start off with 10 stitches and very soon would have a lot more than 10. So for a very long time, if I made a mistake, I just handed it back to my mum and she'd rectify it for me. And that took the frustration out of doing something wrong away. It meant that I didn't lose love of the project that I was working on, so I kept doing it. There came a day when I gave it to my mum for her to sort out, and she said, "You're old enough to do this on your own now." I will never forget that feeling of abandonment because I had to do it myself. But growing up, I've been thinking about it, and in life, not just in sewing, it's not always about the mistakes that we make, it's how we deal with them. If we can learn to have that resilience to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down, and put things right, we're learning so much more than if we always let somebody else correct it for us. So this was the lady's first day at class, so because somebody was having issues with machines, I wasn't able to give her the full attention that she needed. So I'm spending some time to help her rectify it. But going forward, these are the things that we'll be teaching her to do herself. So, which will gives you so much more self-worth and pride in what you do. You realise that you know a lot more than you thought you did, and that really helps you to soar. So, how do you feel when you make mistakes? Is it a case of, that's it, it's thrown into the back of a cupboard, you're never going to do it again? Or do you have that resource there to be able to pick yourself up and to put it right? Now, there are some projects that, for one reason or another, they just don't speak to you anymore. So I'm not talking about those projects, it's the ones that where you get frustrated at the mistakes that you make. So sometimes we just need to be able to take some time out, put it to one side and come back to it with fresh eyes and it's surprising how often then the solutions will spring to mind. So when you make a mistake, don't get too discouraged. If you can, undo it, redo it again, or if you can't undo it, let's see if we can find ways around it that it becomes part of the design, or we can find other ways that we can make it useful. Hope you found that useful. Do subscribe to my channel, share some hints and tips and useful things every week. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and you never know, that subject could come up in a video later on. So I'm going to get back to undoing all these seams and getting these overlocked ready for my student next week, so that she can go then be able just to carry on and finish her bag. So bye for now, and I'll speak to you very soon.